Okay, on the air. And hi, everybody. It's the intern. Okay, and it's ready just in time for the show. I just uploaded the show that I chose for tonight, and it wasn't coming up for some reason. It seems as if, hello? What's going on here? Let me go back here. It seems as if, sometimes the Spreaker uploading system that they use seems to have a mind of its own sometimes for whatever reason. And it's aggravating as the get-go, you know. Here you are, ready to go. You've uploaded the thing, and boom, it should be ready to go, and it's not. And I guess, maybe part of it, of course, is that, even at this time of day, this is sort of rush hour on the internet. Everybody's home enjoying themselves. So tonight, I've decided to just put one show on. I promised one. I've got laundry to do anyway, so I'm going to have to be up a little bit longer than I really wanted to. So I might as well do something with my time. And that's give me something to listen to, give myself something to listen to as well. And this is something I've heard before, but it's pretty good, so I'm going to put it on tonight. Now, I also, as promised, at least the last 2 shows back, possibly 3, and I've mentioned this, and I'm threatening to do it again, and I'm going to. The Eurovision Song Contest will be starting. Well, actually, it's been sort of going on for maybe the past 3-4 months, but on a national level. National searches for the song that's going to be sent to the main Eurovision contest. And this one will be coming up starting 6th of May, which is semifinal 1. Semifinal 2 is the 8th of May, the final, after they've chosen the 26 countries that will be participating in the final, including the Big Five, which is like, England, Spain, France, etc. And the host country, of course, the one that won last year. But, although we'll be participating in the main final, and as promised, at the end of the show, we'll present 2 songs, not from this one, but previous Eurovision shows, particularly from the last 2 years, since, the recordings for them are easily available for me to put on. They're right in my house. Anyway, so without further delay, from June the 2nd, 1963, Jean Shepherd's Night Games talking about being a peeping Tom. Here we go. And cross your fingers. Let's see if it works.
Our suggestion for the week is to have a love affair with the sun. I was talking to Dickie the other day, and we're out at the island, and I said, Dickie, I think that's a good idea for an article. Have a love affair with the sun. St. Helena, England, 6 Chinese restaurant employees were charged today with beating to death a customer who argued about check. Ryan Peace, 24, died of head and other injuries Saturday night shortly after beating. Police Chief James Ball said that after trouble developed over check, quote, the 6 accused waiters armed themselves with metal pipes, pieces of timber, and forks, and beat up Pierce. He later died after arguing about check. What a great time to do a Mandarin House commercial. hello. I'm fading. Hello, there. Just bring up the gain. Go on. I like to kick this. No. Bring up the gain on this thing. Way up. I like to kick this baby. Hello. Give me some give me some modulation. Hello. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. You mean I'm peaking? It's funny. It's way down tonight. But that is a great moment now to do a Mandarin House commercial. I'll tell you, though, there is something about restaurants that brings out in certain people true insanity. Yes, I don't know what it is. It's a kind of insanity that is not even known. Oh, speaking of insanity, speaking of wild moments, you have the thing up there? All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3. Stop. I just want you to know I'm here, that's all. I just want you to realize I am here. Westfield, New Jersey. 2 teenage boys, tennis fans, used science last night in Westfield to practice their services despite the darkness. The 2 boys donned infrared glasses and put fluorescent paint on the tennis ball. Around 9:30 p.m., police in Westfield received a call informing them of the nocturnal match. Dispatched by Deck Sergeant Norbert Koza, Patrolman William Kenny went to the Orchard Street tennis courts. Putting on a pair of the glasses, the patrolman said all he could see was a ball bouncing up and down in the dark. It reminded him, he said, of the one ball that bounces on the top of the song words in movie shorts. Sing after me, we will now sing Red Sails in the Sunset. The boys, however, had to leave the court. Playing tennis is not permitted in darkness, according to police. Police did not obtain the names of them boys. Now, I wish I had the names of those guys. These guys sound like listeners. I'll tell you, anyone who would paint a tennis ball with fluorescent paint and put on infrared glasses and go out and practice tennis either is totally dedicated. Now, there aren't many totally dedicated people here in this world any longer. Either is totally dedicated to tennis or is dedicated to something else. In fact, there's a lot of things there. I think it's a great story. By the way, are you dedicated to anything? WOR is no, wait, just don't rush me. WOR is now going to give you, as a public service, a brief 7-second period of total absolute silence in which you can ask yourself that one question, symbolic, of course, of many of the confusions of our day. This is a public service that will be ranked along with our Marine recruiting spots, along with our announcements, selling Girl Scout cookies, and various other important works that WOR at times indulges itself in. And now, beginning at this moment, I want you to ask yourself, are you dedicated to anything? If so, what? Now, come on, you're not playing the game. Be honest just once in your life. Don't give me that jazz about social stuff you're dedicated to. Tell me what you're really dedicated to. Nobody will know. It's late. Everybody's in bed that count. And you don't have to say it out loud anyway. What are you dedicated to? I thought we'd get pretty close to something there. You'll admit that was a real public service there for one moment, that that kind of question. In fact, I think that wouldn't be a bad thing to write on your mirror in the morning, time to time. But speaking of these tennis people, it reminds me of something. It's funny how it dredges something out of the dark fastnesses of existence, goes beyond. And speaking of being things driven out of existence, I'm a great advocate of. It's pretty hard to, at this time of the world's history, to tell people to look at things around them. But have any of you ever heard of Yellow Kid Weil? W-E-I-L. Does that name mean anything to you? Any of you? in there. Do you know who don't you know who Yellow Kid Weil is? Yellow Kid Weil, along with Luke Appling, was literally a byword in my family's home when I was a kid, and hardly anybody knows about him today. Yellow Kid Weil, and I have a UPI note here that is closely connected with the Chinese restaurant incident and the guys playing fluorescent tennis. I will read to you in Chicago. Oh, you don't want to hear it in Chicago accent. Chicago, I've been a fraud and a scoundrel for 50 years, said the little man in the yellow spats and black Homburg. It's been fun. Joseph Yellow Kid Weil, as sturdy as a blue-ribbon bull, on the eve of his 86th birthday, reminisced about his years of fleecing wealthy businessmen and industrialists of millions of dollars. Right. That's right. I'm still going strong, he said. I'm negotiating right now with a friend from Hollywood to make a movie of my most ingenious con schemes. This movie, in fact, could be my final statement on the subject. The bearded Weil said, it will be based on true incidents never publicized before. All right, I want to tell you who Yellow Kid Weil was. Yellow Kid Weil was one of the most magnificent con men who ever lived in America. And I will award you the brass figurine with bronze oak leaf palms if you can tell me why he was called Yellow Kid. Why? Look at us, Americans. We don't know one of the truly great Americans because he came up the hard way. He did it the American way. He sold gold bricks every inch of the way and became fantastically famous at it. A true con man. Well, Yellow Kid Weil was honored in my house because, you know, Chicago, I'm going to tell you something about Chicago as an American city. A little bit different from New York. Perhaps Chicago is more outward in what it believes. It doesn't know yet the showbiz attitude of hiding your true motives, hiding what you really want to say. In Chicago, Yellow Kid Weil was famous as a con man. Why he was famous is interesting, because Chicago admires dishonesty. It, in fact, a kind of enshrines dishonesty. I remember as a kid sitting around the house and hearing people talk about Al Capone. What did they say about Al Capone out here? Well, Al Capone in Chicago was honored, literally honored. And the reason he was honored was because there were soup kitchens somewhere in Chicago that Al Capone ran. And people used to say, well, you know, he can't be all bad. And all the while they could hear the sound of guns going off in the middle distance and the sound of bodies quietly slipping into the Chicago River, the sound of concrete being poured. But as long as it wasn't their body, it was okay. And as long as there were soup kitchens, that made it all right. Now, many national leaders are in that same position today, of selling one thing with an overtone of respectability, and on the other hand, selling something else, which is not quite so respectable, but which is following in the wake of the respectability of the other thing. This is a real problem. But, you know, speaking of, if you know, these kids with that late night tennis thing, I don't know whether you've ever been involved in nocturnal games. Rotten minds everybody has. I'm talking about nocturnal games, nighttime games. Well, I remember as a kid, one of the things that used to happen that we took up briefly, and this is an awful thing. I'm going to have to tell you something that has never been reported, even to my old lady. It was a moment of kind of revelation, but a moment of perhaps understanding myself better than I should have. There was a peculiar fad that swept through about 15 kids in my neighborhood. Just a bunch of guys that would always play shinny out in front. You know, a whole bunch of guys that would hang around together. A strange fad in the middle of a hot summer night, just about this time of the year in Chicago, when summertime sits down on the south side like some gigantic fat lady, just sitting there at a picnic eating donuts. It just sits down on you, boy, and you can just feel it. It's just literally sitting down. Well, it is at these moments that kids think of painting fluorescent tennis balls and playing late at night. No,